Hey guys, if you remember, last video you watched was about two things. One was a review of what it means to be an easy general trinomial. Again, the trinomial means it has three terms. The easy means the leading coefficient has to be 1, and the general talks about the pattern of the exponents. It says that the highest exponent and the next exponent are related because the smaller exponent is half as big as the large one, or the large one is twice as big as the small one. And the third term has no variable in it. Okay, so we are going to look at how to factor. Again, we prepped for it by talking about if we end up with an easy general trinomial, how did we get there? And so we said that if we had something like x plus 3 and x minus 9 and multiplied them together, we did x times x and got x squared. Then we did x times negative 9 and got negative 9x. And 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. This combined together to give us x squared minus 6x minus 27. And we noted that this right here was the product of the two last terms. So 3 times negative 9 gave us negative 27. And we learned that this middle term came from the sum of the last two terms. 3 plus negative 9 is negative 6. So what we're going to do in this series of videos is we're going to start with something like this and get back to the factored form. Okay, so I just want to do an example or two first, and then we're going to move to page 106 in your workbook. So let's say we had something like x squared plus 5x plus 6. Right? First, I note that it is an easy general trinomial. It's a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms. It's easy because the leading coefficient is 1. Notice how I have them arranged in order, so it goes highest power, next highest power, no variable at all. So they're arranged in the order. The leading coefficient, the coefficient of this highest powered term is 1, and then the exponent on the middle term is half the size of this one, or we could say this is twice as big as this, the exponent is, right? So it is an easy general trinomial. So what we've learned from the previous problems that we've done on this topic is that it's going to factor into two binomials. The first position is just going to be filled in with an x and an x because, again, we multiply these two back together and we're going to get x squared, which is what we have here. These parts are the tricky parts right here. Right? So I want to do two things here. I want to focus on the number parts first and then the signs second. Right? And we're going to start and we're going to work backwards like this. All right? So we'll start from the end and work back up because this is easier. Again, remember this term came from multiplying two things to get negative 27 and adding those two things to get negative 6. There are far more ways to make negative 6 through addition than there are to make negative 27 through multiplication. So we're going to take advantage of that fact that there are fewer possibilities for this and work from the back end. All right, so what this is saying is if these two things multiply together to give me x squared plus 5x plus 6, that this last spot has to be filled with two numbers that do two things. One is they have to multiply to 6 and positive 6, right? So let's just talk about multiplying to 6 first. So there's two ways we can get 6. We could do 1 times 6, or we could do 2 times 3, right? 1 times 6, 2 times 3, that's it. No other options. So we've completely scaled down on the numbers that we could choose just by realizing that I have to multiply to 6. All right, here's some other clues. I know that they're both positive. Actually, I know that they're both the same sign because if I did negative 1 times positive 6, I'd end up with negative 6. If I did positive 1 times negative 6, I'd end up with negative 6. The only way I can get a positive is if both signs are the same. So I know that these signs in here, whatever the operation is, it's either going to be both positive or both negative. When I take two numbers that are both positive or both negative, like let's say I did negative 1 plus negative 6, and I add them, or positive 1 and positive 6, Notice that I'm truly just adding. All right, -1 and -6 is -7 because the signs stay the same when I have the sum right here. I just add +1 and +6 gives me +7. All right, so if the signs are the same, really what I can say, if this is positive and the signs are the same, that means really what I'm doing is I'm looking to see if I can add both of these to get this. All right, so when I do these problems, I say, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 6 that will add to 5, right? Because this is positive, they both have to be the same sign. And when they're the same sign, they just add. So I'm looking for two numbers that add, multiply to 6 that add to 5. These are my two choices. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 6 that add to 5. Well, 1 and 6 we just saw add to 7 or -7, depending on the signs. 2 and 3 will add to 5, either 5 or -5. That means this has to be the choice, right? Because they're the only numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5. All right, so I'm going to put a 2 and a 3 in this second spot. It doesn't matter whether I put the 3 here or here. I just want to make sure that I put the 2 and the 3 in. Now let me figure out the signs. So I know that they both have to be the same sign in order for me to multiply to get +6. They're either going to be both positive or both negative. Then I look at this guy. He's the one that gets to decide. If I have to add these two to get +5, then they must both be positive. All right. I can't have one positive and one negative already because of this, but I can't have two negatives either because then they would add to -5. Right? So that's our best guess. All right, so let's multiply it out and see if we're actually correct. So we're going to FOIL it out, or do that. Everybody in here has to meet everybody in here. So x times x gives us x squared. X times 3 gives us 3x. 2 times x gives us 2x. And 2 times 3 gives us 6. We combine like terms, we get x squared plus 5x plus 6. All right, let's do another one like that. Let's say we have x squared plus 11x plus 18. All right, again, I confirm it's an easy general trinomial. It's a trinomial, it's easy, and it's general. Again, the pattern of the exponents is this is twice the size of this, and there's nothing right here. All right, so we're looking to split it up into two binomials. Right, so what this is saying is I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to +18 and add to +11. Right, so we're just focusing on the number parts, the coefficient of the x term and the constant. And again, because there are fewer options for multiplying to get a number rather than adding, we're going to start here. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 18. Well, my choices are 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, 4 won't go into it, 5 won't go into it, 6 will go into it, but we've already listed it here. Okay, so I need two numbers that multiply together to give me 18. These are my only choices. So this is going to either be filled with a 1 and an 18, or a 2 and a 9, or a 3 and a 6. All right, I know that this first spot has to be the x and the x to multiply together to give me x squared. But I need to figure out which one of these pairs is correct. All right, so let's analyze this again. All right, I know I need to get a +18. All right, that means that either, whichever pair I pick, they either both have to be positive, because positive times positive is positive, or they both have to be negative, because negative times negative is negative. All right, when the signs are the same, either -2 plus -9, or 2 plus 9, and I add them together, either way, I'm adding the numbers and keeping the sign. Right? So I know that truly I am just looking for two things that multiply to 18 that truly add to 11, because if they're the same sign, you will just be adding. And so I go through here. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 18 that add to 11. Well, 18 plus 1 is going to either give you positive 19 or negative 19. 9 and 2 will give you positive 11 or negative 11. That seems to be the right one. 3 plus 6 will give you 9. That's not what we want. So this is the correct one. So we're going to fill in a 2 and a 9. And then we just have to decide on the signs. So again, because they're both the same, or because this is positive, they both have to be the same, either both positive or both negative, but this guy gets to decide. There's no way I can add two negative numbers and get a positive. So they both have to be positive. All right, let's check it out. So this should be the factorization of it. X times x, x squared, x times positive 9, positive 9x, 2 times x, 2x, and 2 times 9, 18. We combine like terms, we get x squared plus 11x plus 18. Check, that is exactly what we started with. So this right here, so when you're asking what's the answer to this problem, it's x plus 2 times x plus 9. All right, I'm going to stop now because my battery is almost dead. I'll be back in a minute.